Sticky Trifle Podcast. Welcome to the Sticky Trifle Podcast.
And if you was watching last week's podcast, you'll ken what you're in for with Sharon Moir as she finishes off the rest of this very deep podcast. Is it quite a shocking story, or is it just me thinking that?
Sticky Trifle Podcast.
And I got remanded, get to Craigie, and then me and my brother went down to the High Court in Falkirk.
How was the food in jail?
Well, they say they feed a prisoner on 75 pence a day, so you can more or less guess
okay.
about that.
You wouldn't want to taste that meals again?
Well, no.
Right, okay.
It's not the best, but yeah, it's jail, Ken.
So, what age did they ask jail when you get out? What age was you when you left jail?
I got sentenced to 3 years, so I did 18 months. While I was in jail, I got my teeth polished. Now, when I was born with a hole in my heart. In 1966, Ken, there wasn't really nothing they could do, but I was always told that if I get to the dentist, or when I had my burns, or when a woman gets an MOT down here, Ken, get antibiotics. Well, when I was in Aberdeen, I got my teeth polished, and I tell them, but I didn't get any antibiotics. So I was doing in court in Vale, and I was only sentenced about a month. And I woke up one day and his finger was black. So I had gone to the doctors, and one of the nurses had says, "Oh, your nails are too long, you'll need to cut them." And then a couple of days after that, there was a little wee black marky turned up here, and they says, "Oh, you must have been faked, and it was a bruise." That was on a Monday. By the Wednesday, I was sitting in my cell, and I was paralysed down my right side.
And was that a real realisation for you?
Well, by this time I didn't care if it was a matter, but I'd lost my speech, and they were trying to turn around and tell me that as painkillers they gave me, I'd lost my speech. And I'm thinking to myself, but I took £300 worth of heroin a day, and I didn't lost my speech. Friday, eventually the screws, the prison officers had put me at a hospital, and it turned out I had a clot in my finger, a clot in my leg, a clot in my spleen, which I lost in a motorbike accident, and a clot in the brain.
Wow. And you're all healed now for this?
Well, I wouldn't say I was. The father had the clot in the brain affected my reading and writing, and I'm also like deaf in that log, that's why I'm so loud.
Have you got anything to help us here?
No. Okay. Just turn my head a wee bit more, Ken. Right. But being 8 weeks in a hospital, recovering from a massive stroke, and then getting back into jail was another challenge on its own bit.
So this is like it's all been part of you growing and becoming a better person. Are we right saying that?
Well, aye.
Religion.
Right.
Is a big part of your life. Am I right in saying?
Yes.
Since when? What age?
7 years ago. I think it was about the 10th of June.
Did somebody see you? Did somebody say, "Listen, Sharon, we need to do something here, or was it you alone?
I had gotten out of jail, been back in amongst drugs, and just was... It was absolutely crazy. I ended up getting into a Manchester crowd. Now I need to be really careful what I'm saying here, because this is no guys that you muck about
I
with.
didn't want no hitman knocking
No.
my Sticky Trifle Productions.
You'll be alright in Kirk. So I was working for us guys and just making an absolute phenomenal amount of money. And I couldn't get out. I could not get out. And I was 3 of them in a house idea, and they were wanting fish and chips, because we've got a base fish.
Let me guess. You says, I'll go and get him, and you never came back with him.
No, I get 3 fish suppers at the White Minty. So I gets the 3 fish suppers, and my car drives up the road, goes into the street, and there was nothing but police vans, police cars, and sniffer dogs.
So did you have lucky escape?
If I had have been in that house when the police had been in there, I would have ended up probably about 10 years.
If it happened to that fish and chips you'd bought?
I put down a window and I threw them out. and that's fit your car. Thank you, Jesus moment.
Now that's a moment here, is it? That was like your wow, I've just evaded for a final time.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And you was done.
I get round the corner and I get into my house and I get in and I sat down, and by this time I had 2 daughters, and I thought to myself, right, what we doing? Because it was just 3 years for a £20 bag. If I'd been in here, the amount of money in drugs, I would have gotten about 10 years. And I turned around and I says, right, what you doing? Are you getting to back in this drugs and raise your daughters right, or are you going to give your daughters to somebody, because they were young and they deserved a proper upbringing? So I thought to myself, right, I want to get off of drugs.
So this was the real you kicking in at this point,
Yes.
was it? This was a real Sharon.
Yes.
It had been waiting to come out.
Yes.
But just hadn't really had a direction in life.
Well,
Are we right to say that?
aye.
Right, so, and religion comes in it now.
Well, I couldn't get away at rehab, because I was only one rehab and it was down in Wales. And I thought to myself, if I give my coins up for a year, I might not get them back. So I got into with Dr. Robert Duthie, best doctor in the Broch, no caring what somebody says. And Dr. Duthie told me on, he had faith in me. And I did the methadone, and then come off of methadone, got on to Suboxone, and then got myself clean.
Wow.
And I've been clean for 11 and a half years, I think it is.
And there's never been moments you think, goodness, I miss that days?
There's never been times like that, but there has been days for I've been really tested. And a couple of years ago I was in a really, really hard time. I was just all different things was happening. I was in before me and Stevie got married, I was in quite an abusive relationship. And I started out roses and again nice jeans and nice boots and nothing like that, but it's almost like start a grooming. It's very, very subtle, and you didn't see it until the first time they left their hand, and then by that time. So
how did you get away with it, the abusive relationship?
He actually got offered a job in Amsterdam, and even though it was my house, I couldn't get him out. And it's just, nobody has ever broken me, but that guy did. He absolutely smashed me to smithereens. But I was so bad I couldn't lift my head and look at folk and speak to them. I just no confidence.
Was there fear? Was you scared of him?
Absolute fear. Because it just happens over a long period, and they just knock everything out you. Every bit of confidence, and every person would turn around and say, what are you doing with him?
It's so amazing, because I'm looking at you just now and I see a powerful person in front of me. You look strong, powerful. You didn't look like you would even let it happen.
But as I say, it happens at slow. I was spitting to my coins about it just the other day, and I thought they didn't care nothing, but they had spoken about the times he'd hot man. It was always like for the neck down, ken, and the things that he'd done, and one of the times he stood in front of me and he spat in my face in front of my 2 coins, ken, and I just thought to myself, but I couldn't get him out, I just didn't, but once I got him out, he was out.
That was it, going.
Ken, and I thought to myself, but I had a motorbike accident. I was on the back of him and I come off and I split my spleen in half, so I've no immune system. And I didn't care if it was, but I was in a car ride and a car pulled out and it just pulled up the motorbike accident. And fit you hear in life, you hear triggers, especially when you've been abused and things like that, and it's like things going off, and it pulls up something, it pulls up something, it pulls up something, and I just started to trigger up all the time, and so a couple of weeks time I decided that's it, I'm going to take my life. And it was on Monday morning, my car was here, Stevie was in a shed, my queen was in the living room, and I put £20 in my pouch, and I turned round and I looked round at my house and nothing like that, because
you was honestly done with, you was going to
I was going to want to broke, I was about to buy a bit of rope and I was about to hang myself. That was it.
Just like out here.
But it's near like, again, when folks speak about suicide now and like that, it is never the spirit of the moment. It is something that you plan ahead. So actually, by the time you come to do it, you're actually at peace with it. It feels right. And I put my hat in and I drove into the broch. Well, was it near bank holiday? I was
so
shut.
You couldn't get a rope?
I couldn't get a rope. So I passed the church, it was a Monday. The church is shut on a Monday. And I get up and I mind coming to the top of Queen's Road, and I was in my car and I just cried out to God. I says, Lord, if you didn't want me to end my life today, put somebody in place, because I will do it. And I get round the corner, and there was a very, very, very good friend of mine was coming back for the gym, and she's standing at the side of the road waving, and I just pulled up. She says, "Fits the matter?" I says, "I'm going to want to hang myself."
Wow.
Just like that.
And if she hadn't been here,
yes,
you wouldn't be here.
Nope. No.
And that's fate again. That's definitely fate.
Yeah, and see, and this is why, like, folks say to me about the church and everything like that. I believe that God has been looking after me for the last 20 odd years. I mean, I should have died when I had that stroke. I should have died when I come off that motorbike and split my spleen. I should have died when I decided to go. In fact, I've hung myself before for the banister and the rope snapped. So I believe that God, for some reason, God's got a purpose for me.
He wasn't wanting to let you go.
He's just saying to me, Sharon,
you had more stuff to do.
I will tell you when your time is up, near you. And for you, you have got a purpose in life, and I'm going to show you if it is.
And I'm just wanting to say this, not a lot of folk has spoken this deeply on camera and Sticky Trifle. And for you to be coming out with us, it's such a strong power and message.
Yes.
Like, I'm sure there could be somebody young in
Oh,
future.
definitely.
If they're watching us, the messages you're putting across and how you can help them
Yes.
and mentor them it's like amazing.
To me, I mind putting it on Facebook about a year ago, because there had been a few folk I had seen their life. And I'm a street pastor, and I go out and I speak to a lot of the youngins, and they've had a couple of shandies, a couple of light ales, but there's also a lot of legal highs. And I speak to some of them and they're so distraught. But because you've got this jacket and it says street pastor on the back, a lot of them can for the church. But when I go on there, I've got this jacket on, I've got a hat on, but they see the piercings. So they think to yourself, well, even though she's in the church, she must be alright because she's got piercings.
Exactly. You're putting across your own message.
So it is. So the youngsters are like attracted to me, and they'll kind of come up, and I'll have a bit of banter with them, I like that, and ken, and I speak to them as in youngsters, because I've got an 18 and a 28-year-old, but I ken that life's not easy, and it doesn't matter far you are or far you come from. Everybody's got stuff. We've all got stuff.
Perfect to hear that, because sometimes I get slightly annoyed when I hear folks saying, "Oh no, hang's great," but
it's nae.
It's nae.
It's nae.
Yep.
Everybody's got stuff, and I get them up in Facebook, and I mind speaking when we had a street pastors conference, and I had said, you see, everybody thinks that you're walking up one morning and you think, right, I'm going to take my life. It doesn't happen like that. It is very well planned out. You sit down. One of the times I actually sat down with a bit of paper, I sat down and I told them what music I wanted at my funeral. I wanted I was there, and I more or less wrote it all down, because it actually, you do everything in place, so by the time you actually, that's why folk turn around and say, but I seen them 2 days before it happened, and they were happy and they were laughing, because you actually believe that this is the right thing, and this is what you didn't realise, that you're ill and you need help, but you didn't recognise that you're ill, so that's why you're not going to the doctor. So this person had convinced me to go and tell my man, and can you come for it? See, when I told my youngest Quiney, oh me, I felt so ashamed, because had I gone and done it that day, there's so much questions that are left unanswered. And
it would have been so unfair for them to lose somebody,
of course,
that is such a valuable part of their lives.
It's
and not only that, the Nerf Gun Effect in the future, they've got to deal with why did you go with it?
Their dad died 5 years ago, so I'm mum. As much as I've been in amongst drugs and nothing like that, I say to me, I've been a good mum. I'm straight up with my kids. I'll sit down. I mean, they ken nothing about the drugs, they ken nothing about the abuse, they ken nothing about, because I'm their mum. If they can't come to me and be honest with me, then there's nobody in this world that they can be.
Yep.
So I have a fantastic relationship with my queens, but I realised that they might have blamed themselves. They might have turned around and says, Ken, because that's the thing, you never get the answers. Why did they actually do it? So I get to the doctors and I got putting on antidepressants, but getting back to the church, my youngest brother was doing in rehab and he come back home, and I'd just gotten a warface relationship, and I was just totally broken. And he says to me, come to church. Church? But then I thought to myself, you can't fit. Say, you get wine in the church, can you? Get in the morning, get a cheeky wine and nothing like that. And I thought to myself, right, I'll go once, I'll try it once. And it was the Assembly of God, and I'll tell you, getting at that door, it is so intimidating, because you didn't ken anybody. But we get upstairs and I sat in the back with my arms like that, and it was like, keep away from me, didn't come near me. They had probably been more fear of me than I had been of them, Ken, but it was, and that was the start of it, and that was 7 years ago, and
it's been the best 7 years since.
Absolutely. It's in fact, for about the last 30 odd years.
Our Clyde's Paul's just broke. I wondered about this before. I says, is everything okay?
That's my man's. I would say the church is the 7 years since I've been in it, is the only time since about 14 I ain't been in trouble.
Wow.
My last time was my drink driving about 9 years ago. And,
but everything going good, really?
Well,
as good as can be.
As good as can be. Stuff always happens. It doesn't matter if you're in a church, if you're near in a church, Ken, there is stuff that happens.
Before we finish, what's the future for Sharon? What is the future? What is your What have you still to achieve? Have you still to be a street pastor?
Well, I mean, I've been doing street pastoring for 3 years, but I have got a heart for a lost and a broken, obviously because of my, and I can relate to so much folk because I've been abused, I've been a drug addict, I've been an abusive ken. I mean, some folk going through one thing in their life.
You've gone through more than the one.
I've gone through like 6 lifetimes. My goal now would be, or has been suggested, that I might manage to be able to go into the jail as a volunteer.
Brilliant idea.
And that would be great to get in one day and come out the same day.
As long as you're not going in for a couple of years.
Oh, a couple of days stand in my head. But no, I would like to get into the jail because I can't like it is to be inside and hear burning outside. I mean, it's hard. Ken, when you when I got a phone card and your parents' birthday is the morning, you can't have phone to wish him happy birthday. I mean, folk can go on about jails, Ken, or they've got en suites, but it's not as easy as that, Ken. That side of it is easy, but being away from your family, shut away, being deprived of just even a bit of chuddy or something like that, Ken.
I'm amazed at stuff we've spoken about on your part, basically. But it's so good to hear you're really positive about our thing, you know. You're not doing about it. You've picked yourself up and you've realised far things have gone wrong, and you've debated how things could have gone better. But there's a lot of things out of your control at the end of the day, is it?
Exactly. But as I
other
say,
people was partly to blame for what was happening.
Well, we could all turn around and say, "Oh me, Ken, I've had a rough childhood, I've had this, I've had that." You can't fit. If life deals you a bad hand, fold your hand and deal yourself a new one.
And that's possibly the best advice anybody gave us. I want to say thank you for coming on.
You're more than welcome.
We've gone really deep again in this podcast. I reckon why, it's just happening lately, but thanks to you and Sharon. I'm wishing you all the best for the future.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you.
And continue what you're doing on the streets.
I will.
Spreading that message and the amount of knowledge and what you can give others is priceless.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week on a Sticky Trifle Podcast.
Sticky Trifle Podcast.
Now.
Sticky Trifle Podcast will return next week.
And I think you've got to agree that was an amazing 2-part podcast. And some would say Sharon's maybe not led a normal life, but far she's at now is better than anything else. See you next Sunday. Bye.
Sticky Trifle Podcast.